We're back at 8:41. Some of you watching might remember that I lost my husband, Jay Monahan, to colon cancer in 1998 and became a huge advocate for colon cancer screening and prevention, even showing my own colonoscopy here on Today.
I have a pretty little colon.
Actually, this is good.
But you didn't put the scope in yet, did you?
Yeah, we're doing the examination.
Oh, really? We've reached the end of the colon.
End of the line. So we're going to come out now. It's as clean as a whistle. This is a perfectly normal examination.
So flattered, clean as a whistle.
It was amazing, though.
Anyway,
It was amazing.
I didn't stop there. I also broadcast my second colonoscopy back in 2012.
Great news. Everything's perfect. I did find a few things, though. I was surprised. And one thing was this duster. I don't know what this was doing there. Batman was in there. And then the last thing, what this is, lipstick?
Oh, lipstick. I've been looking everywhere for that lipstick.
You're good. Everything went really well.
That was less amazing.
He was kidding. But because the new year is a time to reset our efforts to stay healthy, we decided to revisit when you need to get your butt and other body parts to the doctor.
That's right. And so who needs to be screened and at what age should you start? Dr. Felice Schnoll-Sussman is director of the Jay Monahan Center for Gastrointestinal Health at Weill, Cornell, and New York Presbyterian, a center, by the way, that Katie established after Jay's death. Doctor, it's great to see you.
Hi, good morning.
So
Thank you.
good to see you, Felice.
Thank you.
So let's talk, because we have a lot to run through.
Sure.
Women in their 40s, what should they be screened for when it comes to various cancers?
Well, certainly when we think about women, we obviously talk about mammograms and breast cancer screening. And there's some controversy as to exactly when to start. I would say most certainly by the age of 50, everyone should have at least a baseline mammogram. Some people believe it should start at 45. Some people believe it should start maybe even a little bit earlier. Certainly you have a discussion with your doctor about when you believe is the right time for you to start.
What about pap smears?
Well, we start cervical cancer screening even younger than that.
Right.
That starts actually when people are, in their 20s and 30s. But certainly by their 40s, we believe that everyone should have a pap smear and with that HPV screening as well.
And is that every year, Felice?
No, that's not every year. Many people actually have screening done every single year, and that should include an examination of the female parts. But at this point in time, most people believe that if you do screening like that, it potentially could be done every 5 years.
And colonoscopies only if you have a family history.
Right.
That's correct.
Let's move over to men in their 40s. Obviously, you start talking about prostate cancer, you start talking about colon cancer as well. What do you suggest?
So for both of those, in the 40s, in men, when we talk about prostate and colon, starting screening at that point is only for people at high risk. So really for colon cancer, if you're at average risk, you still start at 50 for men, even for prostate cancer at 50. If you're at high risk for prostate cancer, which would be a man who had a family member, like a father or a son, less than 65, you should start about the age of 45. And that's also true for African-American men as well.
And also a baseline colonoscopy at 50, right?
At 50 as well, if you're at average risk.
And what about PSA tests for men?
Controversial again. It's questionable whether or not it's efficacious. But certainly in terms of starting for average risk people, we would say at the age of 50 that they should have a digital rectal exam done as well as checking PSA.
All right. Also melanoma. We should mention that.
I talk about that all the time, even with my kids.
Sure.
I'm with my kids about that all the time.
Yeah, so you should get screened in your 40s, really once a year by a dermatologist?
The reality is this: we don't really talk about screening for skin cancer. It's not actually advocated to actually do screening. Certainly, if you see something on your body that looks atypical, asymmetrical, the borders are irregular, you should be seen. But if you have a family history, certainly 2 members who have had melanoma, you should be screened. If you have dysplastic moles, you should be screened. But routine screening really is done by yourself.
Okay, 50s for women. You should get a baseline colonoscopy at the age of 50. When it comes to, you can get a colonoscopy or flexible sigmoidoscopy, and then is that every 5 years starting at 50, every 10 years?
Yes,
people get confused.
They certainly do. If you're at average risk and you have a clean colonoscopy, like your prep was excellent, they say.
Thank you.
Then you're welcome. But then you can have your next one done in 10 years. That's if you're at average risk.
Then mammograms every year between the ages of 50 and 55 every year?
That's correct, every year. At 55, that's where things start to change. You might actually be able to change it up to 2 years. Some people may prefer to to still continue at 1.
Let's go back over to men now in their 50s. You talked about colon cancer screenings then. You talked about prostate cancer screening. How often should you have them in your 50s?
So men and women, equal opportunity in terms of colon cancer. So if you have a clean baseline colonoscopy at 50, the next one could be done at 60. In terms of prostate cancer screening, it really has to do a little bit potentially with the PSA level. So if you have a higher PSA level,
it starts to creep up.
Correct. You might do it more frequently, potentially every year. If it's lower, it might be every 2 years.
And real quickly in your 60s, because you know I'm going to about to hit
Yes.
60. So when
Happy
it comes
birthday.
to cervical cancer screening, you know, pap smears, you do it in your 50s every, how often, Felice?
So if you're going to do a pap smear with HPV testing, one could do it every 5 years. If you're just doing a pap smear
In your 60s.
Correct, until let's say the age of 65, you could do it that time. But if you, after the age of 65, if you've had nothing, no lesions on your cervix, you could potentially stop screening entirely.
Okay.
Doctor, thank you so much.
Thank
Great
you,
information.
Felice.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for that.
Katie has made a difference in this field, and along with the ongoing commitment to stand up to cancer, which we've all talked about on this show, to celebrate your 60th birthday on Saturday, Stand Up to Cancer supporter Rally Health is donating $60,000 to its research, and every dollar will be put to a good use by an upcoming dream team of scientists taking on colon cancer.
That's so nice.
nice.
And I know they're emphasizing screening, which is so critically important. An ounce of prevention really is worth a pound of cure. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, and
Thank you, my
congratulations
pleasure.
to
Thank
you.
you.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.